Welcome back to my show. My name is Eden Verbatim, and today we're going to be discussing why I think Candace Owens is a groomer. What I'm going to be deep diving into is her recent post. This post is her priming her audience. There's no other way to put it. She's telling them how to feel about the trial before they've even seen a shred of evidence from it. That is a manipulation tactic. That is grooming an audience to reach a predetermined conclusion. And the timing isn't random. Today is July 6th. It is the start of Tyler Robinson's evidentiary hearing in Provo, Utah, and this post landed right before it. So here's what she posted. She says, and I'm going to be reading it and discussing, she says the hearing will let in text message evidence the defense hasn't been able to independently verify. She says prosecutors weren't required to hand over everything the defense requested. She says a key witness, Lance T. Wiggs, I think I'm pronouncing that right, will have his statement played without being cross-examined. She frames the day as pure emotional theater on the government's terms, with, in her words, an orbit of Erica Kirk's paid influencers ready to call it airtight. And she signs off with saying, sit back, watch what she calls the predictable show. Notice what this does. It doesn't wait for evidence and then argues with it. It tells you in advance exactly what conclusions you're supposed to come to before a single witness has spoken. And that's the tell. Real skepticism responds to what's presented. This is a pre-loading verdict. Every specific in that post, the discovery dispute, the cross-examination question, the paid influencers framing, may or may not turn out to be accurate. But whether or not one detail may turn out to be accurate, the structure is the same every single time. Tell the audience the conclusion first, then let the hearing confirm it no matter what is actually said in the courtroom. That is not commentary on trial, that is coaching an audience on how to watch one. Now this is the part I really want to break down because it's not just one post, it is a pattern. And we've seen it for probably not just the last 8 months, but more concentratedly in the past 8 months. I've pulled the actual reportings on what she's said and done since September, and the same tactics show up over and over again. This is how you groom an audience into a predetermined worldview. So tactic 1, poison the well before the evidence arrives. That is this post labeling the hearing rigged and the evidence untrustworthy before it even comes out. Once the audience believes the evidence is fake in advance, no amount of evidence is going to change their mind. That's the entire point. It's not meant to be falsifiable. Tactic 2, make mockery of the proof. I don't know if you remember, but when people were laughing about the military Egyptian plane theory that was tracking Erica Kirk, Owens said the laughter itself was proof that she was right, that people only mock what's true. Watch what this does. It converts any pushback, including fact-based pushback, into confirmation. That is a closed loop, not an argument. And it is a hallmark on how cult-like beliefs systems get built. Tactic 3, serious, specific, unproven. Fact checkers at Lead Stories reviewed Owens's claims that Erica Kirk was tied to Jeffrey Epstein's network and to a Romanian charity linked to child trafficking. They found nothing to support either one. But specificity feels like evidence to an audience even with zero backing. And by the time it is debunked, it has already done the damage. It's already reshaped how people see and feel about Erica Kirk. Tactic 4 is how she dismisses instead of engages. When something doesn't fit her narrative, like details in a court affidavit, her move isn't rebuke it, it's catchphrase it. For example, her slogan, fake and gay. That gets a laugh and ends the conversation. An audience trained to laugh along stops expecting an actual counter-argument. Tactic 5, manufacture persecution exactly when scrutiny peaks. In February, as backlash to her Bride of Charlie series grew, Ben Shapiro calling her evil, Tim Pool and others turning on her, a story went viral claiming TPUSA had paid off influencers to slander her, or to call her demonic. It traced back to a fabricated email. For one news cycle, though, it flipped the frame from her being the one to make accusations to her being the one being attacked. That is the same tactic as the Instagram post. Position herself as the target so the audience circles the wagons instead of asking questions. 5 tactics, 1 goal. Make sure the audience arrives at the hearing having already decided what it means, no matter what's actually presented in the courtroom. Another thing about her post that she made is very interesting, and my good friend Nick Mattel also called it out on X, saying, and I'm paraphrasing, but why are the only photos that we see of Charlie and Candace from like around 2018, I think is what he said, which is very interesting that this is the photo she would pick if her and Charlie were such great friends all the way up until his unfortunate passing, his unfortunate murder. She's always skeptical of every tiny little detail, conflating it to mean something even if it doesn't, so I kind of want to turn it back around on her. For example, this photo that seems to be a tribute to her relationship with Charlie, again, from maybe around 2018, in comparison to this lovely video of Charlie's relationship with Erica. Now, why is this important? Because this isn't just internet drama. There's a real defendant, a real family, and a real hearing happening right now in Provo. Multiple people who have worked with Candace Owens side by side have publicly called her out. Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro have called her behavior evil. Nick Fuentes has even called her a narcissist. Even if former TPUSA employees' own conspiracy-adjacent comments got tangled up in the fallout Candace Owens has been stoking. And this doesn't go for Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro, but even Nick Fuentes turning on her. I mean, when your own ideological allies start turning on you, maybe you've gone too far. And when fact checkers can't find a shred of evidence for your headlines and claims, a pattern like this stops looking like independent skepticism and more like an audience being managed. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe about the hearing itself. I'm telling you to notice the techniques. Poisoning the well before evidence arrives. Treating mockery as proof. Letting unproven claims ride. Dismissing instead of engaging. And manufacturing persecution on cue. And a photo that quietly does the emotional work that the facts just simply don't support. That is not investigation. That is grooming an audience to see a real legal proceeding through a lens that you have manufactured for them. Watch the actual hearing and watch what she says about it afterwards. And ask yourself, who decided in advance what you were supposed to see? If you found this information useful, I'd appreciate if you would like and subscribe and comment, and I would be so happy to engage with those comments. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.